our faith and our religion and character development, because part of our faith is character development. So we really put a huge emphasis on that in the early years, because I feel like that is the foundation for our life, and that's the most important thing that they need to be learning. So we really put an emphasis on that first, and then the rest will come. Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I'm going to be doing a video I don't think I've done on my channel before. I think I've hit on this in homeschool vlogs and things like this, but this video is about why we homeschool and why we still homeschool. So if you want to see that, then just keep watching. This video is a collab with a few of my other homeschool mama friends here on YouTube. I will leave all their videos linked down below in the description. Please go and check out their channels and their reasons for homeschooling as well, or why they still homeschool. And yeah, thank you so much for watching, and let's get into it. Okay, so I'm going to give you a little background on our homeschool. So my oldest daughter, Briley, is 11 years old. She went to public school from pre-K until 3rd grade. We started homeschooling the beginning of 3rd grade, and she's now in 6th grade, and I'm homeschooling her and her sister, who is in pre-K4 now. So her younger sister's done pre-K2, pre-K3, and now pre-K4. So during that time, I homeschooled for the full 3rd grade, and then for 4th and 5th grade, we started fostering. So we did end up having to put our daughter in not a public school, but a private school 3 days a week. So our foster children could go to school with her. Like, they all went to school there together. They only went 3 days a week, and then I homeschooled everyone on Monday and Friday. So we were still homeschooling part-time, but not full-time. I had 7 kids at the time, so it was really too much to try and homeschool 7 kids, ages 14, from 3 to 14 years old. So they were in a private school 3 days a week, and we did still homeschool. It was just part-time for 4th and 5th grade. But again, we were still homeschooling, just not full-time. This year, we are taking a break from foster care, and I went back to homeschooling full-time, just my 11-year-old and my 4-year-old. And I did just have a baby 4 months ago, so now there's a newborn in the mix, so we're still trying to find a new groove. I think we're getting there, but we're still trying to work out some kinks, and that's okay. But he's crying. I'll be right back. So sorry about that. He wants to nurse, and that's fine. We're going through the 4-month sleep regression, and he wants to nurse, cluster feed all the time. So that's okay. I just have to zoom in a little bit so you don't see anything. If you hear him gulping away or any little baby noises, that's what's going on. I can never get through filming without somebody coming in. It never fails, or all of them. They've all been in here already, and I've been filming like less than 5 minutes. It never fails, but that's okay. I'm going to be looking at my notes here because I tend to ramble, and this video will be super long and just like all over the place if I didn't write some notes. I'm super easily distracted, so there's that. All right, so that's kind of the background of my kids' schooling. Reagan, my 4-year-old, she did go to pre-K2 at a private school and pre-K3 at a different private school. 2 days a week for pre-K2 and 3 days a week for pre-K3, and then I'm doing pre-K4 with her full-time. But really, I do pre-K with her about every other day. That's about as much as her 4-year-old brain can take. Oh, you're laughing at Mama talking. You want me to look at you? The main reasons I pulled my oldest daughter out of public school were this. I was all for public school. I didn't really ever see myself homeschooling, to be honest with you, because we had moved away from all of our family and friends. We moved from North Carolina to Georgia 10 years ago when she was just a baby. She was like almost 2 actually, but she was my baby. He keeps laughing at me. I'm sorry. You like it when Mama talks. He's so cute. So we moved here to Georgia 10 years ago. We didn't know anyone, but we moved here for my husband's job, and we've made friends since then. But because we didn't know a lot of people, and because she didn't have grandparents and cousins here to play with and people to play with, other than our friends' kids, who most of them didn't have kids when we first moved here. They started having kids over the years, and she's made friends and stuff. But I knew she would need to go to daycare and public school and pre-K and all that to make friends here, and I really wanted her to have friends here. So I knew she was going to go to public school. Plus, I knew that would give me the break that I needed, because I was a stay-at-home mom most of the time through those years. That I could get something done, get the housework done, maybe go back to school myself, stuff like that. So I did go back and get my CNA when she was in school, in public school, and I quickly realized that that was not for me. I was really good at it, don't get me wrong, but it was very hard on my heart because I'm a very compassionate person, and I do believe I'm an empath, and it was just difficult watching people in pain and suffering every day and passing away, and it was really hard on my heart. So I just could not continue doing that. So with that being said, with wanting to still stay at home with her, be a stay-at-home mom, I spent a lot of time with her, just me and her, from the time she was a year old until she was, 4, going to pre-K. And I really enjoyed spending time with her, making her breakfast, lunch, and dinner, playing with her, going and doing things with her. And once she was in public school, I quickly realized that from now on, we're not going to get that much time together, because we're going to get up early, get ready, rush to school. I'm going to spend all day cleaning and doing my own thing, pick her up from school. We're going to do homework and dinner, bedtime, bath and bedtime, and boom. That's the only time I'm getting with her, is in the evening, but I'm still busy cooking and cleaning up dinner and giving baths and helping with homework, that we're not getting to spend much time together except on the weekends. But even on the weekends, there was homework still. So, and work that I need to be done. So I really wasn't getting that quality time with her like I was. And I didn't realize how much that I would miss that. Even though sometimes our kids drive us crazy, I missed that while she was in public school. And then the bullying started. She rode the school bus because it was just easier, and she wanted to. At first I was taking her, but then she was like, she would see the bus pass by our house every morning. She's like, I want to ride the school bus. So I was like, okay, that works for me. All I gotta do is walk you to the end of the driveway. That's fine. The video will be a little long, I'm sorry. So she started riding the school bus, and there was a little girl in there she became friends with at first, but the little girl was older than her, and at the end of the day, she was starting to make Briley do all her homework with her on the bus. And if she got any wrong, like, she would mark through them. If she thought, sometimes she wasn't even right about marking through them. Sometimes Briley would get them right, and she would mark them wrong and like make Briley feel like she was stupid. She slapped Briley one time for getting things wrong. She slammed her head against the bus window one time, and Briley would come home and tell me these things, and I said something to the bus driver about the little girl, and she did separate them. So that was the first incident. And then there was another little girl that she was sitting with that started to bully her. Now, I didn't see any of this. This is just what my daughter told me, and it was very frustrating as a mother not being able to do anything about it. So eventually I just pulled her off the bus and started taking her and picking her up myself again. And then we moved. So we bought this house and we moved to another school district, and I was like, great, she can start a new school. Maybe she won't be dealing with any of that bullying stuff. And another thing at that school, when Briley started school, she got sick all the time. From the time she went to pre-K until 3rd grade, or the end of 2nd grade, she stayed sick. We did get called to a meeting because she had missed so much school. She had missed something like 20 days. And I think that's about the point in Georgia, or in that school system, where they have to call you in for a meeting and say, hey, your kid's missing a lot of days. I had doctor's notes and parents' notes for every one of those days. But that was not good enough. They were like, she still can't miss this many days, or we're going to have to hold her back. And if she keeps missing any more days, we'll have to get Child Protective Services involved. like threatening us. And they're like, but don't worry, your kid is nowhere near as much as this kid. There was some other kids who had missed like 40 and 50 days and stuff like that. They're like, you're not that bad yet, but we do have to say something, which I understand. But when my child is sick, she's not going to school to go infect everybody else and their kids and the teachers and their kids. She is going to stay home and get well. And another thing is, school policy is you're not supposed to bring your kid back until they've been fever free for 24 hours. And sometimes that took a couple days, even if she wasn't like throwing up anymore or anything. But to be fever free for at least 24 hours, sometimes that took a little while. And I'm not going to take her to the doctor every day to get a doctor's note waiting for that. I'm sorry if I'm ranting, but this is just my frustration with the school system. It's very hypocritical that they want you there every day, but then they have the policies like that where, hello, it's your policy that I'm following. Like, why are you reprimanding me for following your policy? Does that make any sense? I hope some of you understand. And maybe you've dealt with the same issue. So we did end up moving and switching schools, and we would get called. She would go to the nurse's office because she didn't feel well. And then she'd spend the day in the nurse's office. And then I think she got to a point where she was dealing with some bullying. So anytime that would happen, she would get anxious and she would feel sick. And then she would ask to go to the nurse's office. And this was happening once, twice, sometimes 3 times a week. And I would have to come get her because she's in the nurse's office and they can't send her back to class. I don't know. But I would come get her, and then it became an issue. That's when I started to figure out that she was being bullied again by some other little girls, saying, oh, you can't sit with us at lunch, or stuff like that. Just, kids can be mean. That's just it. Some of them can be mean, and some of them don't mean to. Some of them do. Some of them just aren't taught right at home, and it happens. But again, I was hating to see my child suffer. She loves to play video games, and most kids do nowadays, but I know some kids like that. Like, she wasn't a really girly girl. She was more into video games and boy kind of stuff. So she didn't really fit in with all the little girls there, and she's been picked on because of that, and it really hurt my heart, and I just could not stand it. But there was really not a lot that I could do about it other than complain to the school. But there's not a lot they can do about it either. So that was about the time that I had Reagan, my 4-year-old, and I was like, you know what? I was breastfeeding her. I wasn't getting sleep, still having to get up and get Briley ready, get a baby ready, take them out in the cold, take her to school, pick her up, because the school bus at this school does not drop the kids off at each child's home. They drop them off at the end of their road because the school size is bigger and they just don't have time to stop at everyone's house, so they drop them off at the end of the road. I live on a really long dirt road. My first or second grader is not walking from the end of that road home. Even my teenager, I wouldn't have walking from the end of that dirt road home. It's not safe. Trafficking is a real thing. I'm not taking that kind of chance, and I know not everybody has that option, but I was picking her up and bringing her home every day and dropping her off in the morning. So in the car rider line, my newborn absolutely hated being in the rear-facing car seat, and she wanted to nurse all the time. And then we were having sleep issues. None of us were getting sleep. It was rough, and I hated being that mom who was grumpy in the morning. I'm not a morning person anyway. None of us really are, except my husband, but that's a different story. He's not the one getting them up and getting them ready, and he did do that for a little while. He was taking her to school when I first had Reagan, and he would pick her up sometimes if he got off work early that day. But for the most part, it was me getting up, getting myself ready, getting a baby ready, getting a 6-7-year-old ready, and I hated being grumpy and like rushing. I hate being rushed, and I hate doing the rushing. I don't like being that mom, like being grumpy all the time, and that's just not a good way for anybody to start their day, and I felt like we were doing that often, and it just was too much for all of us. So homeschooling sounded more and more appealing to me. I watched YouTube videos. I started reading on Pinterest and different blogs about homeschooling, and I was like, I didn't really know where to start, so I just started doing my research, and I found out quickly that, in Georgia, any parent can homeschool. It has to be the legal guardian. You have to at least have a high school education, and you have to teach at least 180 days of the year for that school year, and you just have to pull them from school and get a curriculum and start teaching them. And I was like, you know what, that sounds better and better every day. So I tried it. I was like, I'm gonna give it a shot. If it doesn't work out, I'll just put her back in school, and that'll be that. So the reasons why we still homeschool now is because we have become closer as a family, able to travel. Like I said, we moved far away from all of our family and friends, so we are able to go and visit them more frequently because we don't have to just travel on school holidays like spring break, fall break, winter break, which is usually the worst time to travel because that's when everybody's able to travel. Anytime we want, we can go visit our family. If my husband can't get off work, I can still take my kids and go visit my family and friends in North Carolina. We can take trips that are like our first year of homeschool. My mom moved to Virginia. We went and stayed with my mom at Thanksgiving, and we went to Washington, D.C. for our first homeschool field trip. And it was amazing, and it was a great family memory. This is museums, aquariums, beaches, mountains, you name it. We have done a lot of traveling and made a lot of great memories, and they've learned a lot along the way. We went to caverns, just all kinds of stuff, and we've had a lot of fun doing that. And field trips count as schoolwork, and I feel like they learn a lot, and you're making great memories as a family. So it's like getting 2 for 1, it's just great all around, and I love it. I want my child to be an independent, critical thinker, and a lot of times in a school setting, I feel like there's a lot of indoctrination, especially as a Christian. There's a lot of secular things that are taught or learned, and behaviors that are learned from other kids. I know I learned a lot. Every bad thing that I learned in public school from other kids, to be honest with you. Like, my kids are a little bit shielded, and maybe they're a little sheltered, but I feel like I'm preserving their innocence for longer, and once your innocence is gone, it's gone. So I think it's a precious thing to protect that for as long as possible. I know at my daughter's age, I already knew about pretty much everything, and I started doing some bad things myself, and I just wanted different for her. I wanted better for her, and I feel like we're off to a really great start, and I feel like we're better able to develop our children's character and help foster their sibling and relationships with their family and friends, because we kind of see it all, are more easily able to choose who their friends are in the early years, because the people that you spend the most time with, really the 5 people that you spend the most time with, you become an average of those people, because you're spending all your time with them. You adopt a lot of their character traits and learn some of their behaviors, good or bad. So our kids are friends with our friends' kids, and we know what their kids are learning, and we're all kind of on the same page, and they're making friends that we trust, and we know that they're not learning bad things from their friends at an early age. Another, like I was saying before, whenever one of us is sick, we can take the day off because we do homeschool year round, and we can actually heal and get better before we go back to working. And sometimes even when they're sick, if they can lay in their bed and read a book, they're still learning, and they don't have to be stuck at a desk all day. So that is great for us as well. And they're not as exposed to as much germs and lice, and Lord only knows, the flu and this and that, and we don't have to worry about getting our other kids sick or us sick, and my husband missing work and them missing school, and all the things that go along with that. I mean, they can still get sick, but they're a lot less likely when they're not put in an environment with so many people all day, every day. We can set our own schedule, which is amazing. We can do school on Monday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. We can do school any day of the week. If we need to take a break, we can. And it's great. I love being able to set my own schedule. And I wanted to finish up this video on a more serious note. There are just a few more reasons why we still homeschool, and these, are some of the more serious issues that we are concerned about with public school. Just yesterday I saw a news article of a teacher and her sheriff deputy husband who had been running a child pornography ring kind of thing, and they had 40 victims that they knew of. About it for years in daycares, teachers having relationships with their students, inappropriate relationships that really concern and frighten me. We are your parent. As a parent, you should be your child's number one advocate, number one protector. So I try to protect my children from things like that, and those are concerns for me. I also have concerns about sexual harassment and bullying in the schools. That I know when I was a student in public school, I was sexually harassed from probably about 2nd or 3rd grade until I graduated. Boys trying to grope you and saying inappropriate things. That's a concern for me. So I just keep that in the back of my mind for future reference whenever I do, if we ever do plan to put our kids back in public schools. Those are some concerns that I still have, as well as the bullying that goes on. I know it was bad when I was in school, and I've heard it's only gotten worse. My mother's a substitute teacher. She says it's really bad. It's really up to the parents to raise your kids right and be aware of what they're up to and discipline them and correct them and get the help that your children need if you find out they are bullying other students. There's two sides to every story, but I just saw a news article the other day of a 10-year-old who hung himself. And last year there was a little girl who committed suicide. There's so many news articles. All you have to do is Google it. So many kids, and it's getting younger and younger that they are committing suicide and things like that. And it's just frightening. And something's got to change. So those are some of the more serious issues I have with public school. I'm not completely anti-public school. Some of my best memories were at public school, but there are just some concerns that most parents have. As far as socialization, they play with our friends' kids. When we travel, they meet other kids. If we go out during the day for field trips or for lunch, believe it or not, if you go out during school hours, you run into homeschoolers all the time. We've run into homeschoolers a lot just going to lunch because they're out going to lunch too, and you're like, hey, they're not in school. I bet they're homeschoolers, and most of the time they are. They interact with people of all ages, not just a class of everyone their age. So they're, I feel like, more well-rounded. Like their education is more well-rounded because they are learning in classroom, but they're learning outside of the home and learning at all times. We make everything into learning, from the shows we watch to the places we go to the books we read to the schoolwork we do. But even cooking, and I'm the type of person that really wants to know every detail of what my kids are learning. And when they're in public school, it's just really hard to do that unless you're really trying to find out, because I know in the early years, I only saw what was graded and sent home. I didn't really know what was going on when. It's not like they send home a detailed syllabus for 1st grade, but I really like to know what she was learning that day. And a lot of times when you pick your kids up from school and you're like, what'd you learn about today? And they're like, the last thing they want to talk about is school. They're ready to rest and relax. So I didn't really get a whole lot of input in what she was learning. I didn't know a whole lot about what she was learning other than what was sent home graded. And I'm better able to help her when she has a problem because I'm the one teaching it. So whenever there's a problem, I can see exactly what she's having trouble with. I can find outside resources like YouTube videos for math. I'm not the best math teacher, so I try my best, and if she still doesn't get it, then I go to YouTube, I type in whatever we're trying to teach, and most of the time there's a video with a really great teacher teaching that on YouTube, and she can watch that and get it step by step, and she gets it down much easier. So we use our outside resources. Public schoolers can use this too if they're struggling, but for me, when I'm right there and I see the problem, I can say, okay, she's not getting this. Let me go find an outside resource or even a tutor, and we can still learn this. Also, she gets to see more cultures. Like, we went to New York last year for Thanksgiving because my husband's mother lives in New Jersey. We got to go to New York when everybody else was in school. We spent a week in New York, and she got to travel, visit a lot of historical sites in New York, meet all kinds of different people, different cultures, different ways of life, like city life, and all kinds of different people in that area. I mean, there's all kinds of people in New York. So, and just everywhere we've been, America is a melting pot for that reason. But, you know, when they're stuck in a classroom, yes, they're around other kids from different cultures, but they're all being taught the same thing. When she's seeing people living out their culture, she's getting exposed to all these other cultures in the real world. You have a lot of fun with homeschool. Like, you can do all kinds of art projects and lessons, and even I'm learning along with them. I did really good in school. I was usually an AB honor roll student for the most part. I struggle with math, like I said, but for the most part, I was a great student, or at least average in my opinion, and I wasn't super focused on learning then. I was worried about keeping up with what the other kids were doing and being cool and liked and popular and boys at a certain age and partying. Like, once I was in high school, I wasn't worried about schoolwork as much as I should have been then. So I've really enjoyed learning alongside my kids and relearning some things that I had forgotten. So that's another benefit of teaching your kids. I really found my purpose. I really enjoy spending the time with them. Are there days where I'm ready to give up and quit and just call it a day and be done with it all? Absolutely. Everybody has those days. Your kid's public school teacher probably has that day every day. Other days where everything goes smoothly and it's great and it's fun and exciting and we love it. I really feel like I found my purpose. I absolutely love teaching them, and it just is really fulfilling when they get something, and I know that I taught them that. Right now I'm trying to teach my 4-year-old how to read. I did help Briley learn how to read, but I don't take credit for teaching her to read. So yeah, I'm teaching Reagan to read now, and once she gets it, I'm gonna be so thrilled. I'm like, because I taught someone to read. Like, I never thought I'd be able to do that, and it's actually pretty intimidating, but we're getting there. It's fun for me and them, and I absolutely love homeschool. Highly recommend it. I know it's not for everyone, but if you have been thinking about it or considering it, I hope this was encouraging. If you're looking for your reason, or I would say just try it. If it doesn't work, you can just put them back in school and in public school, and it'll be fine. For me, I feel like it has been a great blessing for our family. I know this video is super long, and I hope it was helpful. Like I said, this is a collab with some other awesome homeschool mamas on here, so if you want to see their reasons for continuing to homeschool, please check out their videos below. Please don't forget to like and subscribe down below and hit the notification bell for more homeschool videos. And thanks again for watching. I love you, and Jesus loves you too. God bless you all.